5 must-know tips for everything.
5.
Someone posted this, let's see.
That's right, Jin. Sorry, bud, but we're doing 5 tips in this video. Today, we'll answer
The
question.
premise is that he establishes a win percent model and also how much outcome answer to the win probability. Yeah, I just feel like that's where I have my doubts that the model is that accurate. How accurate it is at establishing that premise. That's how it, because that's why I think the math can be wrong. Like, otherwise the math couldn't really be wrong, right? But I just, because it also doesn't like logically speaking, it doesn't seem like he understands it that well. That teams are there's a reason that they trade, and it's not because they think the trade is winning for them.
Of what happens when a YouTuber doesn't know what.
And I feel like unless you truly really understand that, it's hard to code it in to make it a good model for it.
Make a video about.
But it's fascinating what we can try to make with like models like this. It's very cool.
They find a creative way to make a video about everything at the same time. I've got 5 tips you've never heard of for each different subject.
5 tips I've never heard of. Okay.
So you get 5 tips about minions, 5 tips about objectives, 5 tips about runes, and you.
Let's watch this video.
With the concept of the video explained, let's not waste any time getting straight into it. Roll intro.
My name's Rogue and I played League of Legends professionally for 7 years. Now I'm a full-time content creator and coach for all ranks iron through to challenger. So if you want more information of what a coaching session with me will look like, you can find more information by following the link in the video description below.
And while you're in the description, you'll also find the
sorry, a bit too much.
Let's start off the video with our tips about neutral objectives, and I want to open this one up by answering the biggest question in modern day League.
Okay, tip about objectives that I will not know. Well, he's gonna tell me Atakan is worth 15,000 gold.
He's taking Atakan worth. Well,
we just learned this! We just learned this! Well, we didn't really learn it though, because we don't really know now. How do we know? We know it's pretty OP. We know that Atakan is OP. Atakan is worth 6k, or 7k. It's worth a lot of gold. Worth a lot of gold. Atakan will make you rich. If you want to get rich quick, get an Atakan. Let's see what he says is worth.
In order to find that out, let's break down what you get from killing it. Firstly, plain and simple, you get 50 gold per person and some kill reward, adding up to 275 gold instantly for your team.
Okay.
Secondly, we've got to talk about all of those flowers you've been picking up around the map.
Yep.
They aren't for nothing. They give your entire team AD or AP depending on what you're using most, as well as some XP every time you pick one up.
Yep.
Taking Atakan instantly awards your team with 10 more, and in addition, it sucks up all of the roses currently sitting on the floor around the map, and it gives them to you and your team. So you'll usually get between 10 to 15 extra by taking Atakan, depending on how many there are. Another thing it does is increase the reward for all of the flowers you currently have, and that you will get for the rest of the game. Now, obviously, this makes it pretty hard to start to calculate. Not only do these flowers have diminishing returns, but the amount you have varies depending on how many you've collected.
Yeah, it's very hard to make a calculation without using some sort of like model like the other guy.
In order to give us an answer, I went through and watched a ton of completely random games to find an average. An Atakan taken shortly after its spawn grants each member of that team about 9 attack damage or 14 ability power on average depending on what they're building.
Okay.
This means each member of that team...
So like 300 gold.
Gains about 300 gold worth of adaptive force, which adds up to about 1500 gold worth of stats when spread across your entire team.
And then it's the XP though, like how do you calculate the gold value of XP? As well. That's hard.
Next we've got to talk about XP. Since the flowers you get from taking Adcon give you XP, and the 25% amp is also applied to that, you gain a ton of XP by killing Adcon. When spread across your entire team, each member gains, on average, about half a level, so you're getting about 2.5 champion levels worth of XP by killing Atakan. At this point in the game, a level up is giving you about 600 gold worth of stats or so we're gaining about 1,500 gold worth of stats from these level ups across our whole team. But just know, the real value is most of the time going to be much higher than this, because you also have to factor in that we get points in our abilities, and sometimes more than 2 people get a level up at once.
Yeah, I think like you could say maybe it's like worth 2k, 3k in levels. But yeah, also the explosion on takedown. Yeah, you can't really quantify that in gold either.
This brings us to a total value of at least 3,000 gold.
I'd say it's like 3,000, 4,000 gold. I think that's something like that. That's where I'd put it. 4,000 gold. I think something like that. So it's never going to be like, you're never going to win in a cross map unless you take their whole fucking base. But if you get like 2 towers and you deny a few waves, you get like, that can be what, like nearly 2k gold? I think that's like, it's not bad. Like it's not the end of the world, is what I mean. It's not the end of the world. It's not winning, but it's not like
instantly gains by killing Atakan, which is pretty crazy. But we still haven't factored in the buffs yet. You also gain the Spiritual Putrefaction buff, which makes it so that your kills cause enemies to explode, slowing and damaging nearby teammates, which is obviously super valuable in teamfight, but sadly I can't apply a gold value to. Just know it's pretty good though. This buff also makes it so that you receive a flower, and thus receive bonus XP
Ooh, I mean, this is kind of whatever, but
Adaptive Force for all champion kills for the rest of the game. Not to mention that 25% buff to all of the flowers you get stays on your team forever. So whilst the instant value of taking Atacon shortly after its spawn is worth about 3,000 gold or slightly more, plus the buff, the value it has scales with the game time. As your team gains more kills and thus more flowers,
I guess in Loylo where there's a lot of kills, it can give more,
amplified
yeah.
by that 25% buff that you now permanently have. In short, I thought Atacon was really strong, but it's way stronger than I realized. It's not quite as strong as Baron, but it is way, way, way stronger than taking any single random dragon, and if you're trying to trade kills or towers for it...
It's stronger than a single dragon, but at the same time, if that dragon puts you towards Soul Point... I don't know, it's just like League is hard to do stuff like this with, because if it puts you towards Soul Point, and then you can force a Soul fight, and then you can get Soul, then it's like Soul is then more valuable, but it's like, but maybe then enemy gets too much of an advantage from getting the Atacon, so then you don't win the Soul fight. It's like, you know, it's hard, you know.
Moving on, and don't worry guys, future tips won't take that long to explain, I promise. Otherwise this video will be 2 hours. Something I almost never see people take advantage of is
you looked very sexy yesterday.
A Rift Herald kill grants you empowered recall. This isn't exclusive to the person who gets the last hit or to the person who picks up the eye. Everyone on your team who has dealt damage to the Rift Herald gets the empower recall, so it's almost always worth a quick detour to hit the Herald just once if you see your jungler doing it. On the topic of Rift Herald, did you know it actually does more damage the later into the game you summon?
I knew that hitting the... Was that a tip? I knew that tip. That if you hit the Rift Herald, you get empowered recall. Yeah, I knew that one.
Is the fact that
you should always hit recall, hit the heralds, you get empowered recall. And you know, like, you only get the empowered recall when somebody picks up the eye, when you go and assist on the herald.
Empowered recall. This isn't exclusive to the person who gets the last hit or to the person who picks up the eye. Everyone on your team who has dealt damage to the Rift Herald gets the empower recall, so it's almost always worth a quick detour to hit the herald just once if you see your jungler doing it.
And you get a bloodline stack. Very nice for ACs.
On the topic of Rift Herald, did you know it actually does more damage the later into the game you summon it? Well...
This one, I don't think I actually knew that. No, I don't think I knew that. I did not know that.
Technically, it does more damage based on its level, and its level is dependent on the average champion level in the game at the moment where you do summon it. So essentially that means that if you hold off on using the Rift Herald, it will deal more damage when charging it
Board mains be like...
into turrets later into the game. Maybe if you're some kind of rocket scientist, you could hold off on summoning her until after Atacon is taken, since as we learnt, the bonus...
Does it cap at level 12? It caps at level 12. Most people... Wait, when you get Herald and you summon it, are you not close to everybody being level 12? Maybe not quite, but nearly, no? People are going to be close to this value anyways, like level 10, level 11, 12. Yeah, I'd say so.
Average champion level in the game at the moment where you do summon it.
Like at 15 minutes, what level are you at 15 minutes? You're at least level 9. Well, you say you take it at level 9, so I guess you should maybe wait, yeah.
So essentially that means that if you hold off on using the Rift Herald, it will deal more damage when charging into turrets later into the game. Maybe if you're some kind of rocket scientist, you could hold off on summoning her until after Atacon is taken, since as we learnt, the bonus XP from Atacon would increase the average champion level in the game, and thus cause your Rift Herald to have more health and deal more damage once it's summoned.
As you can see, the average level here is still probably below 12. There's a lot of level 10, 11, yeah.
Another Herald tip I have for you is that if you're not using it for side lane tier 2 towers, you're trolling. Side lane tier 2 towers are worth more gold compared to any other tower on the map, giving you 700 gold when you take it down. So one of the best Herald uses you can do is to... You know what? Why don't I just show you instead? Watch this confuse everyone. Who's ready? Alright guys, let's get the tier 3. Come on. Oh shit, I missed. Oh no, where am I going? It's actually macro movements, baby. We're going top lane.
Holy. Like
and we get top tower. Because they all walked bot side, because that's where they saw me running with the Herald. But then, it was a diversionary play.
Kinda his whole team died though, which maybe was his fault, but...
We actually go top lane. And we get the top tower. Good stuff, boys. Good stuff. This clip was taken from my Field to Challenger series, where I'll be doing educational commentary to teach all roles that I'm doing over on my stream. To catch that, go follow me on Twitch, link in the video description. For our final objective tip, we're going to talk about towers. Yep, that's right, towers are objectives too.
True.
Now, for the first 14 minutes of the game, we have turret plating.
Yep.
The way that turret plating works is that every time a tower gets lower in health and loses a plating, it then gains increased armor, and so you...
And MR. Now he's gonna say that the more champions are nearby when you get the plate, higher the armor and MR that it gains is. Probably. That's what I'm
do less
assuming.
damage to it. The lower in health the tower is, the more armor it has. In addition to this, there is a second buff. When a tower plate is taken, the tower gains a temporary armor buff for 20 seconds. Now, the mechanic we're interested in is the fact that this armor buff is bigger depending on how many nearby champions there are.
Told you.
If one person takes the plate, the tower gains 20 armor. If 2 people, the tower gains 40, and so on. This means
He
that
was
as
not a
towers
pro
get
player
lower
for
in
no
health,
reason.
the
I
plate
is not a pro player for no reason.
to take in, you essentially
He
deal
knows
those
these little mechanics. He knows them.
damage to towers anymore, unless you deal true damage. The tower damage buff that Void Grubs gives you causes you to deal bonus true damage to towers when you hit them, and true damage of course cuts through this massive armor buff the towers get. So as a PSA to all support mains out there,
Stop hitting tower. Stop hitting tower.
stay back when your teammates are taking turret plays to begin with.
True.
Not only are you stealing gold from them if you hit the tower,
Thank
but
you.
you're actually slowing down the rate at
Thank
which
you.
the tower is being taken by hitting it.
Thank you.
Since you're dramatically increasing its armor by being in range when the plate dies.
True.
The best thing to do is to instead hang back for the first plate or two that is being taken. Then you can come in at the end to help finish it off with the bonus true damage you have from the Void Grub buff, since you deal true damage to the tower that now has a lot of armor.
That's true, but also if it's a free tower, don't need to hit it. Just give me the gold. I'm happy with a little bit more gold.
Moving on, let's talk about runes and teach you some of the cool things about them. Firstly, let's talk
Okay.
about bone plating.
Runes.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Bone plating. What's crazy about bone plating? That it can do a lot of reduced damage. I don't know. Is there anything crazy about bone plating? Maybe I'll learn something on this one.
Bone plating only reduces damage taken from one enemy, meaning if the enemy Nautilus
What? I didn't know that. What? Really?
hooks you, triggering your bone plating, and then the enemy ADC attacks you while the bone plating is active,
What? Really?
the enemy ADC deals full damage to you.
That's so stupid. Why would it work like that? This one? No, it's not this. This one either, though. Well, bone plating only blocks damage from the champion who triggered it. Bro, it's so trash. It only blocks damage from the champ who triggers it. I mean, I guess it's good on mid and top, but then it's so bad on bot. Huh. I did not know that. And I've taken bone plating on bot lane. Okay. I learned something. I learned something today.
You, as the bone plating only reduces damage you take from the enemy who
Bro,
first
by the way.
which in this case
Analyst,
would be
by the way.
Nautilus. So keep that in mind, especially in bot lane, because it might not be doing as much as what you think it is.
No wonder it's
That's-
fucking trash, bro. I swear every time I go bone plating, it does fucking nothing. And I'm like, what?
Something I didn't know my entire pro career until the very end.
See? At least he didn't know either. He didn't know either.
And when I found it out, I was so tilted. Now moving on,
Same.
let's talk about rune shards, specifically the choice between scaling or flat health.
Go flat health. Unless you
Which-
play top lane or something.
What do you take?
Go
Well,
flat
if-
health on scaling or on
jungle-
ADC.
Full top or mid, the answer is scaling health in 99%
Yeah.
of situations.
But on bot lane, go flat
This is
health.
because the point at which scaling health becomes more effective than flat health is when you reach level 7.
Yep.
As a jungler, you're most likely going to do full clears until you're level 4 anyway, so you've already dodged half of this weak point of the early game.
Exactly.
And
True.
as
Very
a solo
true.
laner, you hit level 7 at about 6.5 to 7 minutes on the game clock,
True.
which is very early on.
Yep.
For ADC, the answer is likely the same. Scaling is probably better most of the time,
No.
but sometimes if you're versing something scary like a Pike Draven lane,
You should most of the time go flat HP.
you might be better off opting for flat health in order to survive the early chaos. Finally, on support, the answer is 99% of the time, you want to take flat health. While the solo lane...
Most of the time, like, the thing is, I always tell bot laners this. When you play bot lane, how is the lane, like, when is the lane decided? The lane is decided in the early game. right? You fight for level 2, you fight level 3, you know? Would you rather have 60 more HP level 1 or 30 more HP level 10? The answer is fucking obvious in bot lane.
It hits level 7.
Getting level 10 takes so fucking long.
And at about 7 minutes or sooner, supports hit level 7 generally at about 11 minutes, meaning you have to play a much larger stretch of the very important early game at a disadvantage compared to solo.
It's the same with ADC. Like, you get levels a little bit faster in support because support start roaming and shit. But still, you get level 7 pretty damn late, you know? Like, usually, after laning phase is done and you go mid, you're like level 9, right? Like, usually at like 50 minutes, you're like level 9. Because you're gonna have blue trinket. Sometimes you're in level 8 after laning phase stuff.
Laners do, because they get solo.
Sometimes level 10. But you get my point. Like, usually that's like after laning phase that you would get the value out of. But then it's like, who the fuck cares? Who cares about 30, 40 HP at 20 minutes into the game when I already have 2000 HP? Versus if I have 600 HP level 1 versus having 660 HP level 1. It's a huge difference. 10% difference.
And they don't roam as much as what you do. Remember, League of Legends is a game where winning early makes it easier to win later. It's as if scoring a hoop in a basketball game put a 5-kilo weight vest onto the opposing team. You can imagine, after you land 6 hoops, your opponent can't jump anymore.
He can't jump, bro. He can't jump.
Game is GG. So take flat health on support unless you're versing something useless like Sona Yumi bot lane and you can just scale for free. Another small trick to remember is that with the legend runes in the precision tree, you get a stack assisting in the killing of
Every
virtual
ADC knows
targets,
this one.
Just like how you get empowered recall by hitting Rift Herald.
You gotta hit the objectives. Do a little love tap, get that bloodline
also
stack.
get a stack of your precision runes if you hit dragon or any other neutral objective for that matter while your jungler is doing it, even if you don't get the killing blow. Another easy check
My ADC is coming for last hit. No, you just need you don't need a last hit. You just need a assist.
you can do in loading screen is to simply check your keystone against what the enemy has. If you have a stacking keystone and they don't, you instantly win long fights, which leads to really simple solo kills like this one. Now, I basically want to challenge...
Yeah, true. If you have lethal tempo and they have fleet, you should just all in now.
Wait, look here. Can't do that.
Be honest though, even if your Tristana had fucking Aftershock, you guys would win this. It's Pike level 1. So, like, you're right. You should fight. You can all in when you have lethal tempo against fleet, but at the same time, it's not because of, you know, lethal tempo that you can fight
Do
here.
that, my friend. So that, quite simply, is what you call lethal tempo advantage. You see,
I just, like, bro, you're Pike. Come on. You're Pike, bro. You're Pike. If your ADC could have any rune.
lethal tempo stacking keystone
He didn't even stack lethal tempo. He had 0 seconds uptime. He did 2 autos.
versus free footwork. You just win. Oh, just like that, they FF. Stacking keystones are really important to take note of in bot lane specifically, because if you see lethal tempo on an ADC, you must focus him first in fights, otherwise he'll be left a free hit, fully stack his rune, and just kill everyone. Which is why I'm so quick to engage here. If the enemy...
He's trolling, no? Like, he's trolling, please. You're trolling, no? You're playing Pike, bro. You could do this with any ADC, with any rune, anything. Like,
enemy responds by attacking me, my Tristana will fully stack her lethal tempo and trade back a double kill. But if they respond by attacking the Tristana, well, there's no reason...
bro, the brand is already dead. Tristana had 2 auto attacks. Okay, it's just, like, you're right. You're right. Lethal tempo is good and all in. Lethal tempo is good and all in. You're right. Lethal tempo is good and all in.
Why I can't just be...
But Tristana literally did 2 auto attacks. And the brand is dead.
in melee range hitting them for free if they're going to ignore me, which is what makes this engage such a checkmate position for them. Often, this means that the best counter to a hook support when you're playing an enchanter is to stack defensive summoner spells, item components, and runes, and then just block the hook for your ADC who has lethal tempo.
True.
That way, all
Because
the
if they focus the Lulu, they get fucked. True. But this is not a lethal tempo only thing. This is every bot lane matchup. If you focus, like, let's say here, even if if Yunara has any rune and this Silver Lulu is hitting the Nautilus, Yunara is gonna fuck you guys up. So it's not really about lethal tempo. It's just about you need to focus enemy ADC. Always. Always focus enemy ADC.
die slowly to give the lethal tempo ADC the chance to stack their keystone, free hit, and trade back kills. Unlike what you get when playing with the Fleet Forward ADC, who watches...
You think he would go and if Tristana had PTR Fleet or Halo Blades? Please use your brain. No.
support get
He would play, like... He would play support
Pike.
Pike.
The end. Finally,
Chanterpike.
for your last tip on runes, there's been a lot of hype around Spellbook on supports recently, and I think it's time for me to finally weigh in.
Oh, it's time. Let's hear what Coach Rowe gets to say about Unsealed Spellbook. Sorry, I'm teasing here, but the way he said it was like, I think it's finally time for me to weigh in. Guys, if anything changes in the ADC meta, I'm gonna be like that. It's finally fucking time for me to say something about this.
Runes like Spellbook, Glacial, Phase Rush, and First Strike are what I like to call payoff runes. They provide utility, but not much direct fighting power, meaning that especially early in the game...
I mean, you could say that Spellbook has, like, fighting power, right? Because you can get Ignite, you can get Exhaust, yada yada. If they have Soraka, you still focus ADC? It depends. It's what I said is a bit, like, context dependent. Because if the Soraka is a one-shot, and we can just one-shot the Soraka, let's focus the Soraka. But if it's a full-on trade, and, like... most of the time, you need to focus on ADC.
You are immensely weaker compared to people with other keystones. These types of runes are also
It's time for Jackspektra to finally weigh in on the...
to take when you can get away with them. For Rakan, for example, Spellbook is an amazing rune against something like Braum or Yuumi where you get a free lane. But against something like Draven Nautilus that has incredible early game fighting power, you need to take...
Ooh, nice special kilos. Actually, like, I'm gonna weigh in. A lot of people have been asking me what I think about Spellbook on support. A lot of people have been asking. I'm gonna weigh in. I'm gonna weigh in before he weighs in. Before he weighs in, I'm gonna weigh in. I think Spellbook is overrated. I think it's good, but it should not be taken every single game on every single support. Glacial and Aftershock can still be really good. Like, if I see my Leona with Spellbook instead of Glacial, I'm gonna be very sad. I'm gonna be very sad. Like, guys, it's not that OP. Just because, like, I swear, the Spellbook shit is just dopamine. The supports finally get to have TP, they finally get to have Smite, they finally get to have some fun, and that's why they're all going in.
Guardian, otherwise you just go 0-10. The same is true for someone like Syndra. Against a boring mage, you can probably just take First Strike and scale into the late game. But against Ignite Yasuo, who goes for a level 2 all-in like a psychopath, you're going to need something like Aerial Comet so you don't just get steamrolled early on and end up like that photo I showed you earlier of LeBron James with a bunch of weight vests on. You don't want that.
Don't want to end up
This
with
trend
LeBron
of how to
James.
choose between utility or combat power keystones is also a really good transition to talk about our first subject on the item tips. Let's imagine you're a support who
I'm a
walks
bit
into
confused.
lane
What
A
was his take on Spellbook? That you shouldn't always go Spellbook? I guess?
and boom, you get
Yeah.
a solo kill. Good job. Okay, you go back to base, what should you buy? Well, if you just got a solo kill, you're at an advantage, so you most likely already win fights based on your ADC's gold lead and your XP lead. So you should most likely opt to buy early boots in order to help you get into range to engage on the enemy and fight them more.
Okay.
Now let's imagine you're the other guy, the guy who just died, that is. Well, you're working at a gold deficit now, so most likely you should instead buy a ruby crystal or a cloth armor, as you need all the combat power you can get since
Glowing mode 5x on first back. That's what you should buy on every support. Yeah, I can kind of follow the logic here. The only thing I'd say is, like, a lot of time the best tip when you fall behind in bot lane is support leaves bot lane and tries to snowball other lanes. I know as us ADC mains, we don't want to hear that, but it is a valid, viable strategy, because a lot of the time when bot lane is just unplayable, you just need to leave. So sometimes I think when you fall behind, going boots early can be good, but yeah, a lot of time just getting raw stats is good.
you're now playing at a deficit. Being greedy and buying boots when you already lose a fight is just going to be burning more combat stats, and you're probably going to be LeBron James. Another itemization tip that's gained some
I feel like the
attention
LeBron
recently is
James
to buy
analogy.
item components that give you the
Really make
best
them so.
short-term power spike, even if they don't build towards the item you currently want. For
talk
example,
about
imagine you're
serrated
playing
Dirk?
Draven and you're building towards the item Collector. You've already bought Pickaxe and you've already bought Serrated Dirk, and on your next recall you base with 1,000 gold. Logically, you would buy the Crit Cloak, right, and then walk out of base. But everybody knows that buying a Crit Cloak is nowhere near as powerful as buying more attack damage early game, especially on something like Draven.
True?
So what's better to do is instead buy a Pickaxe for a short-term power spike.
Yeah.
The downside of doing this is that if on your next recall you can't afford to complete the Collector, you'd be really sad as a result, but likely you're going to be able to make 1,000 gold to finish it anyway before you base.
True.
And that pickaxe you bought can just be built into your second item later on anyway, so
True.
you're not actually delaying
This
any
is relatively Draven specific, though. Relatively Draven
items if all
specific.
goes-
It's like Samira, Draven. That it, maybe? It's pretty niche.
as well.
Maybe Aphelios,
The bonus though is that for this
Caitlyn.
sequence out of base, you have a much stronger item component in your inventory, so you just become stronger.
Yeah, I
in the
guess there's
short
a
term
few.
and most likely won't end up
Jin.
harming
Maybe Jin.
yourself at all in the long term. This might be even easier
Estral? Bro, how are you having this problem on Estral? You have only cheap components.
to visualize when building something.
You're not buying the crit cloak on Estral, buddy.
Young Thor. Imagine you've completed the scout slingshot and the longsword, but then you die and you
Oh yeah, you got the BDSM right here. If you got these two items, so no BF.
only have 1,200 gold.
Yeah, on Jin you'd go boots on that back. That's true, yeah.
Nothing to sell.
Oh, you got 1,200 gold. Ah, this is a full BDSM package. Like, this is a tough one, actually. I don't know what the right answer is here. Sit in base and wait for 100 gold. Sell an item. Ah, nah, this is a tough one, bro. This is an equation with no answer. This is like no good answer. You're only losing here. You could buy Cull plus boots. He's probably gonna say to buy pickaxe. I'm gonna guess he's just gonna say pickaxe.
Your options are you either walk out of base with 1,200 gold,
True, the fucking economy base, Dante style.
or you just buy a pickaxe. And you turn that pickaxe
I cheat the drain, went from 880 LP challenger to 1,500 games, 48% winner, diamond 4. Oh my god.
later on into an infinity edge anyway. And that way you actually have some power and don't.
I've done the pickaxe thing. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes though, if your next base is 1,200 gold or 1,000 gold, it's like, oh, well, my game is
out of base
fucking
with
cooked.
Bill Gates' entire net worth in your inventory and then just get rolled. When playing champions like Nocturne or Viego who have multiple choices for their builds, there's a really good rule to follow in order to land on the correct one. On Nocturne, for example, you could build full lethality and one-shot people, or you
could go Bruiser and be actually a good champion.
could go a Bruiser build with items like Stridebreaker.
Yeah, because, bro, like, I see this and I, like, cringe to myself. Because this build right here... Let me get this fucking up here. This build, just so you know which build I'm talking about, this Bruiser build, if it ults you as an ADC or a squishy target, you die. You just die. This build, if it ults you as a squishy target, you still die. So who the fuck cares? This build kills you in like 0.5 seconds faster. Oh. Who cares, bro? Just go this build. I hope he says just go the Bruiser build. But that's probably not what he's going to say. He's going to be like, if you're snowballing, you're making me squishy, you can go lethality. If you're not snowballing, you should go Bruiser.
And Steric's Gauge, where you get a little bit more health. So which one should you go? Well, the best indicator you can use is by looking at how much crowd control the enemy team has. If you build full lethality and get hit by a Lissandra ult or a Rakan charm, you will just instantly get one-shot in crowd control, and that'll be the end of it. Tankier builds work really well against crowd control because the extra defensive stats allow you to live through the CC long enough to be able to either get away.
Yeah, imagine if my Nocturne was lethality here. He would have done the exact same thing, just he would have died in 1 second.
Or at least use your cooldowns before you die. Specifically for Bruiser type champions, this is awesome because you can get a bunch of extra health from Bruiser items and then build the item Steric's Gauge. Steric's Gauge not only gives you a massive shield that'll help you live through the burst of crowd control, but it literally gives you tenacity. Tenacity is the stat that makes crowd control not last as long.
Oh.
So when you play against a lot of crowd control, you should get a couple of Bruiser items first, since the shield of Steric's Gauge
What's my Nocturne doing, bro?
scales with your bonus health. So buy some Bruiser items to get some health, then buy Steric's Gauge so you have a massive shield and a little bit of tenacity in order to get through those team fights and make them non-navigable against high CC comps. Another thing that needs to be mentioned is that the support item gives gold 2 different ways, and they are not equal ways to generate it. The item can store up to...
I thought he would say something about Viego build as well. I also think the Viego full crit build is kind of fake, to be honest. Like, I don't know, I tried both, and I feel the same way I feel about Viego and Nocturne. It's like, why do you need a build that one-shots when your champion, like, like, Bruisers already do enough damage. Have you ever played against a Bruiser and you thought to yourself, wow, this guy just doesn't do enough damage? Like, if Jax jumps on your head, he kills you. He doesn't need to go full AD. He doesn't need to go lethality or fucking AP, although the boss can do it, I guess. But, like, I don't know, it's just...
to 3 charges that renew at the rate of 1 every 20 seconds. If you have a charge ready, hitting a minion consumes the charge and executes the minion, giving you 15 gold. But hitting a champion would
gives
also
you more
consume
gold.
The charge, but it gives you more gold.
Yep.
20 if you're a ranged champion and 22 if you're melee.
Hola, Rhea.
Simply put, The best way to optimize your gold income from the support item
It's hitting
is
enemy
to simply
champions.
never let it hit 3 charges, as you want the
I mean, that as well, yeah. But it makes sense, right? You get rewarded if you're able to poke the enemy, and you get more stacks.
cooldown to constantly be cycling. Your goal is to prioritize hitting champions to consume charges because it gives the most gold possible, but you need to make sure to keep below 3 charges at all times. If you get to 3 and you can't hit a champion immediately, you should simply take a minion. It's better to get slightly less gold from your support item by taking a minion, because it's more important to be constantly regenerating it in order to keep it below 3 stacks so you're properly sequencing it.
True.
Now, I only gave you 4 tips for this section, so for your 5th, I'm going to recommend you go watch my latest video I made all about itemization.
Bro, what is
I'll leave
this?
a link to that in the video description, and you can watch it after this one finishes. But
Bro, your
before we
5th
go
tip
do
is an
that,
ad.
Let's finish off our final section, and let's make it a little bit quicker paced tips.
5th tip is an
all about
ad.
Minions and minion waves. PSA to all mid laners.
I got
Do not
scammed.
roam and leave mid lane open on a cannon wave, ever. Cannon waves are worth the value of 3 melee minions, so you're losing an additional half a wave.
I don't need to hear this, bro. I missed too many of
You're
these.
vulnerable tower open on the map in order to take free damage, and on a cannon wave, a lot of damage can be dealt to your tower. As a reminder, cannon minions have a passive that is exclusive to mid lane that gives them attack speed while attacking the mid tower. This simply means that if you...
Wait, I didn't know this. What?
As
What?
a reminder, cannon minions have a passive...
Siege minions spawn into the mid lane, gain 30% bonus attack speed while attacking turrets? Why did they have this? That's the most random feature ever. What? I guess it's to make games end faster? For my 5th tip, please send a sub to Jackspektra on Twitch. Remember, donos are accepted, subs are expected.
that is
Fifth
exclusive
tip on
to mid lane
Jackspektra.com.
that gives them attack speed while attacking the mid tower. This simply means that if you
Ugh.
leave mid lane open on a cannon wave in order to roam to a side lane, you lose an absolute
Yeah, I guess
ton
to
of tower
discourage
damage,
perma roaming,
also
anti-roaming,
illegal.
true, yeah.
There are 3 things you should always consider before leaving mid lane open: cannon waves, void grubs, and AD champions. If the enemy has none of these 3 things,
my
you
support,
can
guys.
roam and lose
Whoa.
If they have all of them,
Now you
it
climb,
starts
bro.
to hurt, and you take some tower damage.
Zolkix.
Thank you, Suckcase, for the
Climb now.
84 months.
Leave
You're
mid
going
lane
straight to
open,
Challenger.
then you should never, under any circumstance, do it because you'll lose too much. If they have 3 of these things, you lose your entire tower in one wave, and I'll flame you if I ever find out that you did it. So do not do it.
Holy shit, I really
If
think
you
Star
can,
was
holding
fast.
just 1 or 2 minions outside of your tower can give you a really good wave state going forward.
Yep.
As your arriving minions out of base will stop to fight those minions that you're holding, meaning the enemy wave will walk to the center of the lane, find nothing to fight, and then walk straight to you, leaving the wave resting just in front of your tower in a super safe position, rather than landing back in the center of the lane where you're much more vulnerable. In bot lane, staggering recalls is absolutely broken and can easily help you set up a freeze in the early levels.
True?
Check out this short clip taken from my stream where I mind control my support into pulling off this trick with me.
Mind
Tell
control.
Nakama what to do. He's going to hold the wave if they push. Now I take cheat recall. I buy a longsword. I should have had Cole, but... And now Karma, all she has to do is hold the wave. Because it's a cannon wave, it takes them a really long time to push in. I'm always going to get back in time. And if Karma can
Mind
hold the wave
controlled.
on a turret and maintain a freeze, it's really good.
What's important to note here, though, that like this is obviously not the best players here, since they're not trying to stop the Karma from holding the wave. Like, Karma should be stopped from holding the wave, and then the wave crashes. But it's true. I mean, this is good. This is good.
Tank, tank. Yeah, there you go. Bang. Just like that. Bot lane is GG. If they chase in the wave, he has no HP. If they don't chase in the wave, they base with a freeze, I go up half a level. Nice. So really good early levels. Just like that, baby. Huge advantage. We love hidden passives.
These silver kids
Well,
didn't know what
there's
hit 'em.
another hidden buff
They did
that
not
most
know what hit
people
'em.
Don't know about.
They don't even know what a
The
freeze
jungler's
is.
jungle item has a hidden passive that causes them to receive dramatically less XP.
This
from
one I
enemies
know.
At the start of the game.
This one I know.
Starts at 70% less XP earned from minions early on and then scales up over the first 20 minutes. So PSA to all junglers, get the hell out of XP range of minions that die in the
Fuck
early
out of
game.
there. Get the
You
fuck
are
out of there.
leeching XP from your laners and hurting them massively by doing so.
You're literally a
Also that You
leech.
can get XP that is being massively penalized, so you barely even benefit from it yourself. Finally,
And Drew Levin got your ass. You're banned, buddy. You're banned. You tried to freeze in gold. You're banned. You're banned. You tried to make a slow push. You're banned.
One of the smallest,
Slow pushing
single
gold,
most
you're bad.
impactful tips I can give you is that you should reconsider the way you look at cannon waves in the early game a lot.
Okay.
Cannon waves do
Reconsider the way you look at cannon waves. Cannon waves should be looked at as a free way to base. That's what it should be looked at.
a lot of damage. They even have a passive that causes them to do 6% max health damage to other minions, on top of their already insane damage. This means that if there is a cannon wave arrives to your lane and your opponent isn't in lane, do not attack the wave. Even if the wave is slow pushing towards your opponent, they will still lose a massive, massive amount of minions, since their cannon minion will be one-shotting absolutely everything in the wave. By just last hitting and leaving the enemy cannon creep alive as long as possible, you can deny almost a full wave in just a couple of seconds against an opponent who isn't in lane.
I mean, if enemy doesn't need to base and you base, then yeah.
It matters a lot in the early game. Now, as a final bonus to cap off this video, I need to clarify something because it has been tilting me for the last week. A week ago, I posted a short on YouTube. It has 1 million views, and across all of my other social medias, it adds up to about 1.5 million views. In the video, I'm playing Blitzcrank, and at one point, I say this. See the death timers right there? If Talon's dead, and Maokai's dead, and Yumi's dead, but I'm already halfway out of base spamming W, doesn't that mean that I get to the river before them? Almost every second comment on this video is full of people talking about the fact that because Blitzcrank W slows him...
Oh my god. I hate people like this. I hate people like this. Guys, do you think Blitzcrank W is such a bad spell that you get to a location slower than if you were to not use it?
After the initial movement speed increase wears off, that it equals out and you don't actually gain any increased movement speed out of base, so spamming W out of base is useless. Guys, have you ever heard of the item Swiftness Boots? Swiftness Boots reduce the effect that slows have against you.
that as well, yeah.
So in the end, I am definitely making it out of base way faster by spamming W because the penalty just isn't that bad. Had to get that off my chest. It was tilting me too.
Brad, I had to get tilted by that as well.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Go check out the video description where you can book a coaching session with me or watch the sessions of others over on my Patreon. As always, guys.
I mean, I'd say a good video. I'd say a good video.